Hello. We continue our collection of videos about typical mistakes in TOK essays. In the previous 4 episodes, we looked at formulating good counterarguments, using subsidiary knowledge questions or SKQs, and using supporting examples from areas of knowledge. In this video, we will focus on another typical mistake in TOK essays, presenting claims and counterclaims and failing to reconcile them in a single conclusion. To illustrate this mistake, I will first give you an intentionally non-TOK example, and then I will try to apply it to one of the previous prescribed essay titles. Here is an intentionally non-TOK example. Alexey and George are discussing if dogs are beautiful. Yes, says Alexey, dogs are beautiful. He even gives a bunch of arguments to support this claim. Humans domesticate dogs and keep them by their sides, and humans would not do anything like that if they didn't find dogs beautiful. Dogs have been by our side for such a long time that they have become an integral part of our lives, and anything that is an integral part of our life we tend to consider beautiful, and so on. No, says George, in fact you can't claim that dogs are beautiful. He also gives a bunch of arguments to support this counterclaim. There's an annual competition called World's Ugliest Dog Contest. If you were not aware of this, look it up. Which means that at least some dogs are considered ugly. Some individuals may disagree that dogs are beautiful. Ask your cat, he says, your cat will disagree. And so on. A typical mistake for Alexey and George would be to stand there, spend some time exchanging their respective arguments, and then go their own separate ways. There needs to be some sort of conclusion, some sort of synthesis. You need to reconcile the claim and the counterclaim in some sort of statement. So what? What's the result of this discussion? So how can claims and counterclaims be reconciled in a balanced conclusion? There are different approaches, and your approach will depend on your individual case, but here are some examples. First example, saying that after considering the counterclaim, you still accept the claim, but not so categorically. You say, this is still the case, but we need to keep in mind such and such limitations. For example, dogs are indeed beautiful, not to everyone, but certainly to their owners. We acknowledge that this big thing is not true, but this smaller thing within it is true. Second example, saying that the claim and the counterclaim apply in different ways or different situations, and explaining these ways or situations. For example, dogs are beautiful on the inside. They are loyal and friendly and fun. Yes, they're not always beautiful on the outside, but even the ugliest dog can be a great loyal friend. In this example, we kind of divide zones of influence. We say, this is the big thing, this section here is where the claim applies, and this section here is where the counterclaim applies. Third example, clarifying your initial claim and rejecting the counterclaim on that basis. For example, you might say, by claiming dogs are beautiful, we mean dogs in general, dogs as a species. Yes, some dogs may be ugly, but that's irrelevant to our generic judgment. It's like arguing that humans as a species are not intelligent because you have one friend who is not intelligent. Now let's briefly look at an actual TOK example. Here is one of the prescribed essay titles from November 2020. Reliable knowledge can lack certainty. Explore this claim with reference to 2 areas of knowledge. Alexey says, yes, indeed, that is true. Knowledge doesn't have to be certain to be reliable. For example, a lot of evidence that we have is based on statistical data and probabilistic reasoning. Weather forecast is not certain. We cannot say for sure if it will rain tomorrow or not, but we can make a probabilistic prediction. Although such predictions are not 100% accurate, they are still a lot better than chance, so they are useful. George says, well, no, for knowledge to be reliable, it does have to be certain. Weather forecasts cannot be called reliable because there always exists a chance of a terrible mistake. Knowledge that is genuinely reliable is the kind of knowledge that you get in mathematics, where you logically deduce new knowledge from previously existing knowledge. Certain, rigorous, based on proof. How can they reconcile the claim and the counterclaim? Well, one strategy is to use the second option I just explained, saying that the claim and the counterclaim apply in different ways or different situations. When we're trying to understand events that are influenced by a large number of factors, such as weather or financial markets or the human society, we cannot measure all those factors at once, so we need to rely on probabilistic reasoning, statistics. In such cases, knowledge is not absolutely certain, but it is still very useful. On the other hand, when we deal with logical proof, anything less than absolute certainty is not acceptable. So, if this is our entire knowledge, then this part deals with probabilistic reasoning, and here the claim applies, and this part deals with logical proof, and here the counterclaim applies. Alexey and George can then decide which part of knowledge they're talking about and continue their discussion, but on an entirely different level. To summarize, a typical mistake would be to present claims and counterclaims and move on without trying to synthesize them. Remember that the good old structure of argumentation is thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The synthesis is the most important part. That's what drives your argument forward. Don't forget to check the links in the description. They will take you to Themantic Education's website with our new TOK textbook, lesson plans, blog, YouTube videos, and more. Thank you for watching. See you next time.